Oh.
Oh, it's really good too.
So pastrami's everywhere in New York. Turns out though, not many places actually make their own. The whole thing is highly inconvenient. You've got to brine it, you've got to smoke it, you've got to steam it. It takes a week and a half, 2 weeks to make. It's a pain in the ass.
We know one guy, our friend and mad scientist Will over at Harry and Ida's. He makes his own. So we're gonna go over there to make some pastrami with him and maybe see what else he's got going on. Let's go.
Kind of weird.
Oh!
This place is awesome and looks like a cartoon science lab.
It's a sandwich shop up front. That's predominantly what keeps the lights on, but it's a lot more. We're just trying to figure that out at the moment. But there's all sorts of weird shit going on, I'll tell you that.
We had a sandwich shop, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
Pastrami in particular, not only does it take 2 weeks to make, it's also pain in the ass to do.
We smoke a lot of straight briskets at Duck's Eatery at the restaurant, and we have a great time doing that. But the curing process was there for a reason, and there's a preservation aspect there that really helps us out as a small business. What we tried to marry here is how do we take a look at history and all those different techniques of smoking and aging and preservation, and how do we take it and apply it to food waste, to sustainable ingredients, to cuts of meat that people aren't using a lot of, and how do we make it more valuable? I got fish sauce from 4 years ago I could bring upstairs right now that will blow your mind. We'll have to have you guys back during eel season. I think we got a bunch of squirrel in here too.
So let's back up just 1 second. So
Yeah.
you were a professional survivalist?
This is the 3-year-old brisket. So this is a 3-year-old lardo as well. I got a buddy down in Louisiana just makes his fortune getting roosters that no one wants out of Craigslist.
That's amazing.
We have some ashes and mushrooms in the back. 2-year lardos that are getting wrapped in actually sea lettuce, and a whole plethora of other things from, well, some things that I probably shouldn't say.
You're essentially a front for experimentation.
It's a good time.
It seems like your business is essentially like obviously focused on sustainability and zero waste, but also some of the dishes seem like you are challenging like my palate and kind of trying to build that trust with your consumer.
Yeah, it's really tough, and at the end of the day, none of this actually works unless what we're serving people is f***ing delicious.
So with all these experiments, what is your personal greatest success and also, of course, biggest failure?
This past year, we've spent a lot of time working on finding what those super sustainable ingredients are. Seaweed has been a huge, huge one. This is a common seaweed that you'll find right around here. So we take all of our corn husks, and you can see that's a bunch of bladderwrack seaweed. This is an interesting seaweed where it actually becomes chocolatey. For us, when we think chocolatey, all of a sudden when cooking, we think like moles and things like that. We actually had bladderwrack mole for our barbecue ribs at the restaurant for the past year over there. Really? And that's blended together, so really a lot of the seaweed gets in there as well.
Oh, that is really nice.
Like it tastes like healthy.
Yeah. And in terms of failures, I spent a month trying to break down the calcium deposit of a green crab shell. It didn't work.
Let's talk a little bit about the cut. Deckle, also known as the second cut or the point, it's the fattier part of the brisket.
A lot of people for these popular burger blends in New York City were using the flats of the brisket. So we started taking the deckles and we started curing and aging the fats for recipes at the restaurant. For us, it's just the perfect cut. So this has been in brine for about a week and a half or so. I think there's some of our like homemade fish sauce in there, and we do a bunch of anchovies, and well, we call them anchovies, but really what that process is we just go to the fish market once a year and just buy the cheapest small fish we could possibly find. We just salt them all, and usually lasts us for about a year. Usually costs us about $20. It's all the bycatch.
I mean, I've never seen a pastrami sandwich having like the list of the brine, homemade anchovies, and homemade fish sauce, which is just you further preserving other things.
I think that's the cool thing about pastrami is that it's really simple, but it has a ton of ingredients that all come together that if it's wrong, you know it's wrong, but if it's right, it seems so simple and straightforward.
Our kitchen is so small and we were doing so many covers when we first opened, so it was like, well, things either had to be served raw or we had to make them ahead of time, days or weeks or months or whatever it is. There was no time to do anything in between. And within that, there's a lot of honesty. Because, you know, if you don't cure something properly after 4 months, you're gonna f***ing know it. All right, should we season this guy up?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
I think we have garlic in here. We have a lot of black peppercorn, a little bit of chili, mainly guajillo, and we have some coriander. And then we do a little bit of fermented radish in there, which is a real cool one.
Fermented radish.
This is fermented radish and chili.
Wow.
That's really, really good. Just like a very, very little bit of bite from like the radish, but you get like that pepper is just like mellow.
With a little bit of horseradish kick.
Ready when you are, boss.
Let's do it. Yep. Yep. So we're gonna go in here for about 7 or 8 hours. From there, we're gonna pull it out, and we're gonna go right in the steamer for another 3 hours. All right.
So what's the steaming do after you smoked it?
If we didn't do this, there'd be no way we could properly break down all those elastin fibers and all that meat without drying it out.
You can see
Oh
even
my
like
God.
smoking 7 hours and then being in a steamer for a couple hours, and you can still see all that fat.
Fat's perfect, the salt's perfect, nice and smoky, but cool and mellow.
All right, should we make some sandwiches up real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So this is kind of a homemade mustard that we do with a bunch of salted Meyer lemon juice
Really?
and actually that same anchovy. You know, after that, what we do is we take a bunch of cucumbers that we've lightly fermented in whey, and
In whey?
yep, whey and dairy is part of the whole formula here. So if you're milking a cow and you want to get the most use out of that milk, you separate it and you make cream and you ferment it and you make butter and you separate that and you have the buttermilk. It's how do we get the most value out of every part of what we're doing.
Literally nothing just goes into the trash. Everything, you look at it and you study it and you figure out a way to make it useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really admire that.
I love this mustard.
It's actually lemony. Well, you get the lemon out of it. Great.
Yep.
Fresh dill. Really, really great to have there.
I'm not gonna lie, there's all sorts of old guys that come in here thinking we're pretty sacrilegious for not having pastrami and rye. But you know, them.
Do they still eat a sandwich?
If you want the #1 chef table hack in Harry-nitis, you finish it with some beaver stew. This is a 3-year-old aged beaver.
I've never heard that sentence. I've never heard anything remotely like that sentence ever in my entire life.
With a little bit of sea lettuce
Okay.
and a little bit of aged duck fat as well.
That's fantastic. That is so good. That broth is amazing. Daniel Boone didn't have it that bad.
What's he complaining about?
Yeah.
It's like got that like sour, like a little bit of like a sour note to it.
The sweetness from the apples too
Good, right?
also really rounds it out. How much seaweed does this have in it?
This has about 2 big bunches of sea lettuce, which isn't too strong, but just enough to pair well with the beaver.
I think we're pretty lucky to have this be the first time that we've had beaver.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
thank you guys.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Absolutely amazing.
It was good having y'all.
We're just gonna fry a few lengths of each one up.